What's your role going to be for the Warriors this season?
I won't know that till we get to camp, you know what I mean, or till we get together, you know what I mean? So we ain't had any team meetings or whatnot, but it's crazy, and tell you in all honesty, probably the same thing it's always been, you know what I mean, to hoop, leadership. You know, all these years of playing, the game don't change with so much, you know, so I think I'm excited to sort of figure that out, you know, so I'm gonna go out and hoop.
I love that. Just go out there and hoop. We're back with Miss Congeniality, Rosgo and Perk. So Chris Paul joined Steph Curry as a leader in the locker room this season. Roz, you're an expert on all things Golden State from your time there. Why do you think CP3 partnering with Steph will work for the Dubs?
Well, I think like anybody else, we all thought in hearing this news that it was an odd pairing. Maybe some people might think it's going to be awkward. Certainly, Chris Paul has been rivals with Steph and the Warriors, and there's definitely reports about the strong personality of Chris Paul in the locker room. You know, could that affect the chemistry for the Warriors? And so from my perspective as someone who has been around the Warriors and covered Steph for a long time, not only is he an excellent player, but I think so much of the special things this Warriors group has been able to do over the years has a lot to do with who he is as a person and as a leader. His leadership style, the fact that he is egoless, he has a way of disarming people, and he gets a lot of respect. He's no slouch. He's well respected. So if there's any superstar that could make his locker room a safe space for a rival, perhaps an odd pairing, it is Stephen Curry. And his leadership permeates the rest of the team. Everyone else must get on board, and they'll follow suit. So I think, you know, Chris said, I don't really even know what my role is. I think as long as everyone comes to the table and puts the ego aside, Chris Paul could provide a nice change-up to the style of offensive play that relies so heavily on all that Steph can do and create.
Absolutely. I was at an event with Steph 2 days ago, and it was a lot of new people in the room. He did not meet a stranger there. He's just inviting, engaging, and just a great teammate, whether it is on the court and in business, you know, in his business moves. But Perk, how much do you think CP3 will impact the Warriors' championship pursuit this season?
He better impact it because this is his last opportunity, in my opinion, of actually winning the championship. And we always talk about, and Roz, that was a great point. You brought up the situation of how him and Steph are going to work alongside one another. Well, Steph could play off the ball. My thing is how in late game situations is Steve Kerr going to utilize Draymond Green and Chris Paul? Because Draymond Green has actually been the point guard for that team over the last 2 years, initiating their offense, pushing the pace, running the offense through him, while you see Steph and Klay back screening and cutting and, you know, popping back and actually being great screen setters. So when I look at CP3, one, he's going to have to change his way of playing and play more off the ball, probably lead the second unit with Jonathan Kuminga and those young guys as far as getting them involved and getting the best out of them. But if Chris Paul want to capitalize on winning the championship, I believe this is his last opportunity right now with the Golden State Warriors, and he has to make the best of it.
Yeah, it's not a bad place to be to try to shoot your shot at a championship. Now with our front office insider, Bobby Marks. Bobby, the Warriors have some real decisions to make when it comes to training camp starting. Can you break it all down for us?
Well, we're going to go to the touchscreen to go break it down, so come on over with me.
Oh, you want us to come? All right.
I think it's all going to depend on what we see with Klay Thompson here. That's my big question mark right now.
As it pertains to the lineup,
As it pertains to the lineup. And we're going to talk about Chris Paul in a minute. Now, here's the thing. 34-year-old in February. He's extension eligible, 4 years, $223 million. Do I think he's going to get that? No. But I think when you look at Draymond Green getting a new contract, Steph Curry having 3 years left, could it be in that $3 to $100 million range here? Coming off last year, 69 games, 22 points. Now, that's what impresses me.
Okay.
You're starting to see his lift back coming off that injury. The first time since 2014-15. And I just think for where this Warriors lineup right now, he's the X factor.
Really?
Klay Thompson is the X factor here. Certainly that contract's going to come into play here.
Yeah, I love what I heard from Klay in the Podcast P interview. He was like saying, hey, I had some beefs, but nonetheless, I'm glad to be back and feel more like myself. What else did you see from the Warriors, looking forward to their next moves, incorporating Chris Paul? Because I know the Jordan Poole swap was a thing. It was a factor.
Well, it is, and this is kind of where their bench is right now. And we have Chris Paul on here, and here's some of the questions here. Next 2 years, is it a $400 and $400 million team? Luxury tax and
They've been
salary.
up there.
Now, here's the question. We're looking at $400 for next year. That includes Chris Paul back on a non-guaranteed contract and extending Klay Thompson. So you lose Chris Paul, how do you replace him? Now, here's going to be the big thing. You know how many games coming off the bench? 0.
Oh, wow.
Now, is he going to start? Is he going to come off the bench? Is he going to finish games? That's a big question. The young kids, Moody and Kuminga, certainly X factors as far as what type of role do they play. And then, of course, has the championship window closed? Are they better than Denver, Phoenix, the Lakers, Sacramento?
Oh, that list is long.
So that's a big question there. And certainly, this is the year. If they're going to go out and win a championship, this is the year.
I'm expecting Anthony Davis to be MVP in these next 2 years or something. Real. It's time, bro. It's time. You can't let Joker come in the league and surpass. Nah.
That's gonna be a tough one. That's gonna be tough.
Anthony Davis can do everything Joker can do. He can do everything Embiid can do. The f*** you talking about, dog? I'm expecting him to be MVP, if not this year, definitely next year. Straight up.
Those two body languages were giving two completely different things. I love it. Perk, you've said that AD is an MVP talent before. Do you agree with your former teammate, KG?
You know what? I'm not mad at him for saying that, and AD should have it on his list to win the MVP in the next couple of years. I don't have Anthony Davis winning the MVP this year. Pass me the mic so I can wreck it a little bit. But look, AD is a talent. AD is an exceptional top 5 talent in the league. Again, it's all about health. But if you asking me about my MVP pick, and I'm going to throw the producers off for a second because that's what I do. Sorry, Jaron. Sorry, Demetrius, but I got to dive into my bag. I'm going with Giannis Antetokounmpo. Giannis Antetokounmpo is going to come back with it on his mind. He's going to capture his 3rd MVP. That's who I got coming into the season for us winning the MVP, and he's going to win the MVP. I'm not mad at the big fella pick for his AD or calling AD out or holding him to a high standard. I'm just not rolling with it, not this season.
And that's what I love about Hot Mics and Perk. They're consistent. It's what, Wednesday, August 16th, and we already have our MVP pick for next year. Here for you,
It
Perk.
was a very bold one.
Very bold, but it's actually like, it's a safe one. It's a safe one. To Philly we go. The 76ers are midway through another tumultuous offseason. And Tim, our producer, Demetrio, he was very fired up talking about Harden this morning. He said that you were very motivated to talk about whether Daryl Morey has more to lose or James Harden. So the floor is yours.
Well, that's the thing. I don't think this is a situation that we're going to get to the end and say there's a winner. I think there's going to be a lot of losers the way this is playing out. The bridges are being burned. A lot of the ugliest divorces, there were very loving relationships at one point. That's the way this thing is going down. But who has more to lose? It's got to be Daryl Morey because, let's be honest, this is not about can he short-term salvage the relationship with James Harden, which I highly doubt. This is about, is Joel Embiid going to watch this thing unfold and at a certain point stop just, deleting things on a social media and start, hey, it ain't happening. It's time for me to go. This is about, are you going to basically blow up the future of the Philadelphia franchise? And if Embiid wants out, it's over.
Yeah, so it seems like it's not just this direct relationship. It's like, oh, no, this can impact the entire future of a franchise, and that's more on Daryl Morey's hands. Now, Bobby, how do you see this playing out in Philly?
I think James Harden is going to report to camp. I think James Harden is going to have a good season. And I think if there's a trade when we get closer to February, James Harden will be traded here. And I think it's a lot easier to get more value for James Harden during the regular season when there's a team, maybe the Clippers, who are close to maybe winning a championship, and Paul George and Kawhi Leonard are healthy, and they feel like he's the missing piece, and they're willing to give up more than they are right now here. And I think both sides need each other. That's the key here.
That's true. So keep it nice, guys. Keep it nice, please. No drama. Now, Perk, you and I are from Houston. We know the roots of their relationship, Daryl Morey and James Harden. How do you see this saga impacting the big man, though, the reigning MVP in Joel Embiid?
Well, first of all, let me say this. All right, James Harden is tripping right now. He's tripping. We're talking about a guy, right, that is coming towards the tail end of his career, okay? He actually had an opportunity to get some fillers before he decided to opt in into his contract to see what his value was like. His value must have not been as high as he thought it was, okay? That's the first thing. The second thing is you went and you criticized and you called out a guy, a friend, that value you more than anybody in the league. James Harden has everything to lose, and if he's not careful, he could possibly be out the league after next year. Because here's the thing: trust. You can't trust him. He's been disgruntled for the last 4 out of 5 years with the Rockets, the Nets, and now the Philadelphia 76ers. And the NBA don't need him. The NBA don't need anybody. They move on from old superstars. They have a bunch of young superstars coming in every single year that could replace them. The league moves on. James Harden has everything to lose.
He does, but I also do think that Sixers fans might have something to say about it after trusting the process. But tomorrow is going to be fun, you guys, because we have something special cooking up for you guys, because it's the NBA schedule release extravaganza right here on ESPN2. Check it out. That's tomorrow, 3 p.m. Eastern.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.